here with T.
And Matthew.
And we are the Bing, Zang, Zoom podcast. So, what do we got for today?
We got a lot of good entertaining things today. One thing that we want to touch on is the Sonic movie came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, did you see it?
I haven't seen it yet. So I'm gonna give
what
my
are you
review.
waiting for?
I know. I wasn't fast enough, see? That was the thing.
Gotta go fast?
Yeah.
I actually did go and see it. I really enjoyed it. It is a family movie. It is a kid's movie. It is one of these, and then the cartoon characters comes through a portal into our world and wacky antics to get them back to their world. But as far as one of those films go, it was definitely the best one. The re-edit was amazing. The look at him made him so much more endearing. I probably wouldn't have seen the movie if it wasn't for the reanimation.
Yeah, because the first one was not good.
It was
at
off-putting.
all. Like, who was that? That wasn't Sonic. That was a cat, a blue cat.
Yeah, and so much of the film was a love letter to Sonic. Like, there were so many references and Easter eggs and drawbacks and, callbacks, not drawbacks. Yeah, and it just wouldn't have been the same without him looking like Sonic.
Right. How do you think Jim Carrey did?
I mean, Jim Carrey was Jim Carrey.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Jim!
Like I think I said on the podcast before, he's a one-trick pony, but it's a good trick.
Yeah.
And this is one where that character did very much fit in his wheelhouse, and it was what he needed to be. But Sonic actually, I don't know the exact dollar amount. I need to look it up. But it's the #1 opening weekend for a video game movie ever.
What? Oh, snap. Well, that does make sense. So shout out to Sonic for that, because I know that's like video game movies have a stigma surrounding them, and they normally don't do too
Mortal
well.
Kombat, Lara Croft, Detective Pikachu. Like even the good ones.
Yeah.
Like it still beat out all of them. I mean, obviously there's a lot of bad comic or super. Why can't I talk today?
Video game movie adaptions.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm glad that Sonic did good. I wouldn't have wanted. That'd be like if Super Mario came to the big screen again, right?
Right.
A new reiteration, because this is the first time Sonic is on the big screen. If they came out with another Super Mario, I mean, I would hope that people would at least go and check it out, just because that's a lot of people's childhood. But Sonic, they had to do right by Sonic, because Sonic was a lot of other people's childhood, and they already made a Super Mario movie. So,
if you can call it that.
Yeah, right. It was two supers. Okay, that was it. That's about as super as that one got. But I'm glad to hear that Sonic did well, and I'm probably gonna end up going to see it with the kids.
I think the kids will really like it too. Yeah. It is definitely in that wheelhouse that they'll be quoting the lines and running around real fast around the house.
Oh goodness, that's probably not a good thing.
On second thought, I am not going to go see this movie with the kids.
Thanks for the review.
But talking about Mario, this is just a quick plug for somebody else, a YouTube channel that no longer puts out content, but it's a channel called Idea Channel, and they proposed in one of their first videos, but then they remade it in one of their last ones, that Mario is the world's greatest piece of surrealist art. If you guys want to look into that, I highly suggest Idea Channel and looking it up. It'll
Idea Channel
expand your mind.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
no affiliation, not a sponsor.
Yeah, not at all. But I don't know how much more my mind could expand, because my skull doesn't have a lot of room. But yeah.
So the Batsuit.
Yeah. So tell us about the Batman costume and how you feel about that. The movie itself. Dramatic pause.
So let's start with the movie itself for a second. Just a quick rundown. Right. So the Matt Reeves Batman movie was originally going to be with Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck was writing it, and then Matt Reeves and Ben Affleck couldn't agree on a lot of the tones and stuff. And then
on the Ben Affleck part.
Yeah, and then it became, it was still going to be part of the DCEU, the connected DC movies. Then now they're saying, oh no, now it's going to be a set by itself, and it's not going to be connected. So that movie's gone through so many different iterations and things that it hasn't not even anywhere close to being put out yet. So that's already kind of got me a little off-put to that movie, because I'm like, oh, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
But then they hired Robert Pattinson. Before I go on to that... What did you think of Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne?
Okay, all right. So when I first heard about it, everybody knows I'm a big Batman fan, right? You got to play it safe with what you do with Batman, okay? However, I really wasn't that big of a fan of Ben Affleck. I was grateful that he did the job that he did. That was fine. Robert Pattinson, playing Batman, at first it didn't sit well with me. Not gonna lie, I was like, the guy's associated with Twilight, he's a vampire, he might have more acting chops, but I'm sorry that those are the only ones that I've seen, right? And he was not Batman-esque in that. So maybe they saw something in the audition that proves me wrong. I don't see it just yet, but I did see like the brooding part. That is what kind of was like, okay, well, I can see him brooding, but what about the speaking parts? What about when he has to be Bruce Wayne? What about when he has to, the Batman character? I'm not so concerned about him playing Batman. It's honestly the other facets, the Bruce Wayne. How's he going to do with that? Is he still going to be brooding? Or is he going to be, a charming guy? Can he look like and act like he has lots of money? Is he going to be able to turn it on and turn it off, to the level that Christian Bale did and Michael Keaton did? That I don't know, but those are the two greats, and that's all we have to base it off of. So it's every other Batman hasn't really held up. Besides Adam West. Adam West, shout out to Adam West.
Rest in peace.
Yes.
So I think Robert Pattinson, and I understand that he's done a lot of, better movies in recent years, and he did The Lighthouse, which, is really trending right now. I don't think that Robert Pattinson is a bad actor, and I don't really necessarily hold Twilight against him, because he's not really a fan of Twilight either. You do what you got to do to get your career off the ground. But with a character like Batman, with a character like Superman, with a character like Spider-Man, with a character like Captain America, there are certain expectations you have going into it. This is characters that people have an attachment to, and they have a rhetoric with, and that they already feel like they know pretty well. And in a lot of cases, they're going to know them better than the filmmakers because they've spent more time reading books and stuff. So when you hire an actor that doesn't fit that mold that the comic book set up, a lot of people are like, well, you know what, that's just their vision of it, that's whatever. But that's kind of insulting to the audience that's already invested in the material. That's not to say that the actor's going to do a bad job.
Right.
But to say, hey, listen, you're already going to buy tickets to this. We know you're already going to buy tickets to this. So we're going to do what we want and not have to appease the fans. That's kind of an insult.
Yeah.
And again, that's not to say that the actors will do a bad job. Obviously, I talked about The Birds of Prey a couple of weeks ago. And, I said that the characters are not at all like the characters in the comic books. Right. That doesn't mean the actresses did a bad job. In fact, most of them did very, very well. I did see the movie at this point. But they were still not Cassandra Cain. They were not Dinah Laurel Lance. They were not these characters, but they still did a good job of acting. And I have a feeling that with Robert Pattinson, that I don't even know if he will do a good job of acting, but I know that I'm not going to see him as Batman. You know, I don't know. I'm not saying that he will do a bad job, but like, so with like Heath Ledger and Ben Affleck and all these people, I said, you know what? I think they're going to do an amazing job of acting. I think it's going to be an Oscar-worthy performance, but I think the writing is not going to be Batman.
Right.
This one, I'm thinking that the writing is going to be really spot on because they've gone through so many different versions before coming to this one. But I think that his performance is just not going to be Batman. Yeah, and not saying that he's going to do a bad job of acting,
right?
But he just won't be that character.
Do you think that he would have been better off playing a different role, Penguin, or maybe Nightwing or something like that? Or do you feel like he just shouldn't be involved with Batman, period?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to sit back and think about it. I mean, there maybe be a character that he would be good at. But nothing like is immediately popping in my mind as like, oh yeah, he'd be really good as this or that. Yeah. I mean, maybe if I thought about it for a bit, I'd come up with something. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, and who knows? History could prove me wrong. But one thing that is really, really, really annoying me though is all the people that's like, well, you can't criticize it until you see it. No, that's what trailers are for. Yeah. That's you can't criticize it until you see. Well, you know what? If you're wanting me to invest my $15 in it, you're going to have to sell me on this.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why they put out this image of the suit is to try and sell you on it. Did the suit sell you on the movie?
Well, the suit reminded me of the suit that's in the video games. The suit that's in. Is it Origins? No.
The Arkham games?
Yeah, in the Arkham games, it looks like one of the suits from the Arkham game. Actually, it does remind me of the suit from Arkham Origins, right? The video game. And it's cool and all, and it was, it's a glimpse. It's kind of dark, but overall, I didn't like one specific aspect. I think the bodysuit was fine. I think that maybe it was just the angle that they were doing it from. But where you could see his nose, you haven't been able to see Batman's nose like underneath for a while. I don't think that's just not the depiction of Batman that I'm looking for. A little bit less nostril for me. But of course, this might not be the end suit as well. This might be something that they're using to just promote it, and then, they might make changes and tweaks here and there. But that's one of my little gripes is I don't want to see his nostrils.
Definitely, the mask has issues. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are pointing out that it looks like Daredevil. Yeah, and it does. I didn't get to see the horns either. So, what do his horns look like? Are they the short ones? Are they long? The ears. Yeah. And that's a huge thing to me, too, is how the ears look. And the fact that they didn't show us the ears is really off-putting to me.
These things better not be the original Batman had ears like this. Yeah. That didn't last very long, and then they went out to your side.
For the audio people, he's pointing to his side.
Yes. And so, the ones that go straight up, those are the ones that are the iconic ears.
Do you like the shorter ears or the longer ears?
I like the longer ears in... I'd say I'd go with the longer ears just because it stands out better.
I agree.
The 1989 Batman, long ears. Mm-hmm. It stood out. Christian Bale, semi-long ears.
Yeah, it's kind of middle area there. Yeah, but on the longer side. Yeah.
I don't like the short ears. They just don't...
Ben Affleck's are an inch tall.
Baby ears.
Yeah. I think, like I said, the ears are definitely something. But the mask looks very Daredevil-like, but it also looks kind of like Adam West. Which, nothing against Adam West. Adam West was a great Batman for what it was.
Right.
But it was also 1966, and it was a comedy. So if you're trying to do a dark, serious detective, noir Batman, having a mask that you could see, you could literally see the stitching on, doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah. Also, I think, really quick, that with the 1969 version of Batman, you might have been able to see all of the words to the podcast. You might have to go check that out and look for Bing, a Zang, and a Zoom in there somewhere.
Wow.
Again, shout out to Adam West and Adam West's version of Batman.
Yeah.
Just for that.
Just for that.
Yeah.
Just for representing us before we were even born. But the suit does look very Arkham Origins, maybe even Arkham Knight, when the fact that it's this sort of metal plated thing, which I never really liked the metal plate for Batman. I always liked his suit to be a little bit more like streamlined, like the 89 version, or even sort of, the Ben Affleck version. I thought the Ben Affleck suit was actually pretty good.
Right. Yeah, the suit was good. I think that the 89 Batman is the best suit.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
I like that one the best.
Yeah, definitely. The other issues I really have with this suit is the bat symbol. I hate when the bat symbol's broken into different pieces. Yeah. That always gets on my nerves. It's like, I don't want it to be in different pieces, make it one piece.
Right.
And I understand a lot of people are saying, like, oh, but it's a weapon. And I'm like, why would he have it as a weapon? I've seen other people say it's Joe Chill's gun. It's the gun that killed Batman's parents, and he broke it into pieces and made the bat symbol out of it. And I'm just like, well, that's kind of gross.
Yeah, why would you? What?
I mean, and I understand in the comics he had the gun in the bat cave and whatever, and that's what like kept him motivated. But like putting it like on your chest, that's a little too far.
Yeah.
There was also the fact that the video had that red tone to it. Yeah, and I think part of that was so that way we wouldn't see the coloring because they haven't discovered the final color yet. But a lot of people were also pointing out that the red is very similar to the red that was used in the promotional pieces for Batman the Animated Series back in 1991.
Oh, okay.
So at least there's a little bit of that callback there. And Matt Reeves did say that Batman the Animated Series is going to be a huge influence on this incarnation.
All right. Well, that part makes me happy.
Yeah. So
because I do like that.
So again, I think that the film is going to be good. I think that the amount of investment that Matt Reeves put into it is proving that he's not just going with the first script that comes along.
Right.
But I just don't think I'm going to be okay with the cast. I really don't. And I think that's going to be the killing factor for me. Now, I have been wrong about people before, but typically my impression of them in the beginning is actually how they end up performing. I'm usually pretty good at knowing, like, well, this is how I feel about it now. This is how I feel about it later on.
Right.
And so, when the movie comes out, I may eat my words, I may not. But the thing is, nobody is ever rooting for a movie to fail. If we say something negative about something, or we say, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's because you want it to
change. It's because you
want improvements.
Yeah, exactly. You want to enjoy it. You're not actively rooting for it to fail.
Yeah, especially when you think about how many Batman movies have been made, right?
Yeah.
And it's Batman this, Batman that. We for the most part we know the stories.
Yeah.
So just do right by the story, do right by the fans, the people that really are Batman diehards, and you'll get all your money that you put in plus some back. If you don't, that's when you run the risk. Why hasn't this been noticed at some point? Is it because people want to put their own stamp on it as the directors, or okay?
Yeah, right, that's exactly what it is. I mean, and the thing is that you look at, and this is a conversation that we can go on for hours and hours and hours.
This is true.
But you look at the Marvel movies versus everybody else who's tried a cinematic universe, particularly the DCEU. What is the main difference? What's the main difference that pops into your head? And I'll tell you my
difference
opinion.
Between the two?
Yeah, between the DCEU and the MCU.
Continuity is one. Let's see. Humor is another, because a lot of the DC is dark. But
yeah, it is very dark.
Yeah,
true.
Those are the two things that popped in my mind.
So to me, the main difference is that Marvel puts the character representation first. They say, this is how the character is in the comics.
Right.
Or if it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy where they're going to reinvent them, they say, well, this is what we need to do for the character. Nonetheless, Captain America is Captain America. Iron Man is Iron Man. Everything else around the universe might change. The story might be different from the comics. It's a compressed timeline. Spider-Man might come in at a different point or whatever. But the characters are first and foremost the characters that we know.
Right.
Where with the DCEU, like Batman using guns, Superman snapping Zod's necks, all this. The DCEU seems to have this opinion that, well, Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman or whatever wouldn't sell. They wouldn't sell the way they do in the comic. There's a reason these characters have been around for 80 years. It's because people like them. And Marvel's figured that out, to put the character first and to let everything else kind of come into supporting that character in this world.
Right.
Where DC is like, well, let's write a story that's going to be compelling or whatever, and then change the characters to match the story. And then that causes the story to not be compelling because we don't care about the characters.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Well,
speaking of the DCU,
right?
I saw Harley Quinn in the Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one title too long that keeps changing.
Of the Emancipation of the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Like what? What kind of title is this, man? We want something short, sweet that we can search for in one bar.
So the original title of the movie was Harley Quinn was The Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Now, I think it was last week or it might have been a couple weeks ago we reported on this show, which was the case at the time, that DC had changed the name of the movie to Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. Now DC's sort of backpedaling on that a little bit. I mean, to be fair, they never 100% said that they were changing the name of the movie, but it was heavily implied with some of the press junkets that they did. Yeah. Now they're backpedaling on it a little bit, and they're saying the official title is still Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. But the reason that they changed it on the marquees and all this stuff is because when people are searching Harley Quinn in Fandango and these other ticket buying apps, that the title is too long and that the websites are only putting it as Birds of Prey. Yeah. And people are searching Harley Quinn and they're not finding the tickets, and they're blaming that for the bad ticket sales. That being said, though, if that was the case, if that really was the case, then why wouldn't they have shortened it to Birds of Prey Harley Quinn instead of Harley Quinn Birds of Prey? Now, again, we said last week, or whenever it was, that the title always should have been Harley Quinn's and the Birds of Prey, because Harley Quinn is the main character. After seeing the movie, I will say the Birds of Prey played a lot bigger part in it than people were leading on like they would. Like, they really were throughout the movie the whole time. They just didn't form together as a group until the third act. Right. But it still was... Harley Quinn was the main character and the other people were her supporting cast. So if they really were to put it in this app to increase searches, wouldn't it be Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn? Not Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. So they're really putting Harley Quinn back front and center, as it should be. Right. So what the heck are you doing? Why do you keep changing it around?
That is going to kind of get people disoriented and make them just say, you know what, I'm not going to search the thing. I can't find it. You think about it, you get like somebody that's not so familiar with how to use their phone, right? And they go, how do you do this? How do you do that? And after a while, they're like, you know what, I'm not using this phone. It's too complex. And really, they just have to go one slide over, one page over, click on something. One extra step can be the difference between your movie getting seen and your movie not getting seen. So that's on y'all, DC. Y'all get it together over there, man. Next up, we got Erykah Badu, right? So Erykah Badu is coming out with a perfume. And from what she says, it is going to be a perfume that smells like her vagina. Breathe it in, y'all. Breathe it in.
Smell that? Me neither, because I'm not buying the perfume. I don't understand this recent like
obsession
with making things smell like you.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of perfume is to mask the bad smells that our bodies make, to increase our pheromones, to attract ourselves to the other whoever we're trying to attract. Exactly, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be animals, whatever, right? If that's what you're into. Pause. But I mean, and I won't say anything about that body part specifically, but I will say that area in general is where a lot of sweat collects.
Oh yeah.
It's it's the most covered part of our body, so it tends to get the hottest. Yeah. So I why would somebody be that self-absorbed that they're like, this part of me that's probably the most unclean part of me? And I don't mean that in like a joking way. I mean that literally, because that's where our sweat goes.
It might be. Maybe she shortened up her name for entertainment purposes. Maybe her whole name was Erykah Badu. But at the end of the day, though, I think that if somebody wants to go and they want to put themselves out there like that, literally, then albeit to them. But if somebody says something negative about this, this perfume doesn't smell good, or it doesn't last long enough,
canceled immediately.
Need to put a little bit more. Yeah, like that's not. I don't know if I want to put myself out there like that, like literally. Yeah. Like, how is she getting this too? How is she extracting the scent?
I think it's just comparison. I think she's just like smelling and then smelling something else and being like, no, it needs to be more fragrant, more salty. I don't know, whatever. But this isn't
fume.
Yeah, this isn't the first time something like this has been done. There was another celebrity whose name I won't mention, but put out a candle that was called "This Candle Smells Like My Vagina," and I guess like some people find it,
Bless you. Yeah.
I guess some people find this feminine, empowered. I guess some people find it, to be a very feminist thing, and that's all well and fine, and be proud of yourself if that's what you want to do. But I still just find it odd.
Yeah, it's not something that you just wake up and think, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead. Let me spray a little bit of my extremities, the smells of my extremities, onto my neck. And go on about my day. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna get this for my lady. If you would like to do that, then that's up to you. Have there been any guys that have done this? Like the smell of my crotch area is gonna be.
Well, no, because that just. I guess nobody would want that. But I mean, the thing is we spend most of our day trying not to smell like people. Like we use shampoo with fragrance with it, soap with fragrance in it. A friend of ours always talks about every time I walk in, it's like, I smell coconut, so it's got to be Matthew's hair. Right? So it's like we put all this stuff on our body to not smell like our body.
Right.
That now one of the things that we put on is to smell like somebody else's body.
Like my body, not so much. Erykah Badu, sure, I'll take that.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
You know what though? Let's see how it goes. I'm sure, like this. I would
love to know the sales numbers.
Like this is something completely new that it's been done before, from what you said.
Yeah,
but
not
maybe
to
not to this degree. Yeah. So, Erykah Badu, you do what you got to do. You Badu it.
See, that would be something I'd buy. A poster with her face on it that says Badu it. I would pay money for that.
All right. And also, the greatest world champion, the greatest current world champion in professional wrestling right now. We had a poll on the Bing Zang Zoom Facebook page. And
And the answer was me.
Yes.
I won.
Matthew is the greatest current world champion.
Come get it, bitches.
Are we fighting for the women's championship? Or whichever one.
Whoever wants it.
All right. But so basically, we had three options. There was Brock Lesnar, there was Chris Jericho, and there was Bray Wyatt. Right? Brock Lesnar being the WWE champion, Chris Jericho being the AEW champion. He's a different company. And then you have Bray Wyatt, who is the Universal champion. Brock Lesnar won the poll, right? Now, just because it's a poll doesn't mean it's right. It's just to see what you guys think. I think that Chris Jericho is the best world champion in wrestling right now.
And like you said, just because it's a poll doesn't mean it's right. But because it was said on Being Zang Zoom by this man, that does mean it's right. So, yeah, that's get bent.
Now, like, bing. Now, like, the reason why, right? Brock Lesnar has a mouthpiece. He has Paul Heyman. He comes out, he talks for however long. And Brock Lesnar doesn't do his own talking. He definitely does his own fighting, though. He gets in the ring. He does what he has to do. He deserves to be world champion. Calling him the best current world champion, it's difficult for me because in professional wrestling, you want to be well-rounded. Right? And with that being said, some of the... Right, I mean, yeah, in general, you want to be well-rounded. And so, with that being said, you have the Hall of Fame, right, is coming up. One of the groups going into the Hall of Fame right now is going to be the NWO, hence the NWO shirt that I'm wearing right now, right?
For all you people watching on audio that could see his shirt.
Yeah. and like so you have a group that consists of Hulk Hogan, well-rounded. He speaks for himself. He goes out, he's able to perform in the ring. He self-promotes. Kevin Nash, same thing. Scott Hall, same thing. All of them have been champions, right? Now, Brock Lesnar, he goes out and he can speak, but it doesn't sit very well. Chris Jericho goes out, he talks on the mic, he gets you interested, he self-promotes. Bray Wyatt, he does these things as well, and he does them well, but Chris Jericho has just got a little bit over him. So if it was my own suggestion, I would say Chris Jericho, Bray Wyatt, and then Brock Lesnar in terms of the greatest current world champions. We've seen Brock Lesnar before. Brock Lesnar is pretty good. However, what's happening currently, and I emphasize currently, if we're talking about overall Brock Lesnar, okay, I get it. But currently, Chris Jericho is the greatest simply because this man is in a band. He enters the ring to his band's song, right? His own song. Then he has a cruise ship that he has a wrestling event on called the Jericho Cruise, right? So on this particular day, Chris Jericho walks to the ring with the AEW World Championship with his own entrance music that he created playing in the background on his own cruise, and then he proceeds to win his match.
So what you're saying is he's rich.
Chris Jericho's the man. Okay? Chris Jericho, hands down, greatest current world champion in wrestling at the moment. If you agree, let me know in the comments. If you disagree...
What's this? A new challenger!
Basically.
The time is now.
Oh, man. Yeah, if you disagree, you can comment as well. There's no guarantees that you're not going to get shamed by the rest of the Bing Zang Zoom society. I'm just playing. Go ahead and comment. Let us know how you feel. Moving down the line, what
fighting,
we got?
Let's speak with a little bit more fighting.
Yeah.
So MMA, mixed martial arts. People all know the UFC, But there's a lot of amateur ones. He's about to hit me here, people.
No.
There's a lot of amateur leagues. And a buddy of the show, who we hope to have on someday, is, wink, wink, is our friend Big Bang Mike Olasky. Olasky. Sounds like he should own an auto parts store.
Right.
But he's a great guy. He's an incredible martial artist. Knows so many different styles. He was an actor. He was on Power Rangers. He was on the Three Ninjas.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy. One of the coolest guy you will ever know. And then there's this other friend of mine, not really friend of the show yet, but personal friend of mine, Blake Foster, who was also a Power Ranger. Now, what was unique about these two is they were both children when they played Power Rangers. Mike was Rocky when they got turned into kids for that 10-episode arc. And Blake Foster was Justin, the Blue Ranger from Turbo, who was a child and got the powers of the Blue Ranger. Now, they keep saying that they're going to have an MMA match. Olasky recently broke his hand, and that kind of put the match behind.
Yeah.
And now that his hand's healed up, he's saying, let's get the match going. And Blake Foster is saying, well, the anticipation's killed now. We're not going to make any money off of it now. There's no reason to do this. And so this is starting kind of a bit of a feud within the MMA, but also the Power Ranger community of whether the match should happen and who would win the match.
Now, Power Rangers fighting Power Rangers is just, is nothing new, really. I mean, you got the Green Ranger.
Yeah, Jason David Frank.
He was bad, right? Well, in the show. He was bad.
And in real life.
they were fighting.
What? Sorry, I didn't say anything.
But yeah, so he was fighting against the other Power Rangers at first.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so, Power Rangers fighting Power Rangers is nothing new. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one. You know why?
What's that?
Simply because if Foster doesn't want to do it, his heart's not in it, the whole 9 yards, then
I think he wants to do it. I think he just wants more money from it. You know what I mean? That
he wants to bring more attention to it?
Yeah.
All right, well, guess what? If that's the case, Foster, if you're really serious about this and you want to do it, don't worry. We got you here at the Bing Zang Zoom podcast. We're going to get everybody riled up and wanting to see you fight.
Yeah, I think the fight could be really good. Mike Olasky is definitely the better martial artist. Truly
Boom.
A martial artist to the core of him. Mm-hmm. But Blake Foster is a much bigger guy. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, is typically in any kind of competitive sports, the people are always similar in size, similar in weight. This would be a very sort of mixed match thing, because Blake Foster is a beast of a man. So you got one guy who's got the skill and the practice and put in the attention, and then you got the other guy who's just much bigger and just has the brute strength and does have martial arts skill himself. Not to talk bad about him, but mainly the thing he's bringing is his size, his power, his the fact that he could sit on him and probably not get off.
Right. So the classic skill versus power, speed versus strength. Yeah, I'm interested to see it. Let's make it happen, man. Let's get it. Olasky Foster. Round 1. Fight. Okay? It'll be like Ryu versus Ken. It'll be like the Red Ranger versus the Blue Ranger.
That is what it is.
Yeah. All right? I want to be Zordon. I want to watch. Okay?
They should have the guy, David Fielding, who played Zordon, that did the voice of him. They should have him to be the ring announcer.
Oh, snap. Oh, I summon you.
Rangers. Fight.
That would be pretty sick. Yeah.
All right, so the last thing we got on our list, unless we could think of something else to, pad it out a little bit longer, is we got. Did you know? And this might be news to you, but that this is Black History Month.
It is?
Yeah, you needed a white guy to tell you that.
My goodness, this is goodness gracious. I'm about to hand in my card right now. This is wild. Hold on, let me see if I have it. Do you have it? Did you take it?
No.
But yes, I did.
It is Black History Month. Yeah, and there's a lot of when Black History Month comes along, there's a lot of historical documentaries and things that are come out. Yeah. And one that really caught my interest was Sci-Fi Wired put out a 2-part documentary on their YouTube channel about Milestone Comics. Did you ever read any Milestone Comics?
No.
Are you familiar with Milestone?
Not at all.
Okay. So Milestone Comics was a comic company in the early 90s that was started by 4 gentlemen. The main known one is Dwayne McDuffie. Dwayne McDuffie is a literal genius. He went to college when he was just a kid. Wow. So I don't mean like genius like, oh, he's just incredible. Right. Like literally, like certified genius.
Man.
And he wrote in a bunch of comic books, but he's also well known for his work in animation. He did the Ben 10 and a lot of the other ones that your kids might have watched.
Yeah.
The Justice League animated series, et cetera, et cetera. But the whole point of Milestone Comics was to give more minority characters a forefront, because in the 90s there was the Falcon, there was Luke Cage, there was Green Lantern, et cetera, but this was to really kind of represent a wider genre of minority characters, the most popular of which came out of Milestone was Static Shock.
Okay.
And so eventually DC took over Milestone, and there was a lot of things that happened. The characters got integrated into DC. There was a bit of a fallout. They got taken out. They keep saying that they're going to reboot Milestone Comics. But then there's been some legal issues with McDuffie's widow. And so they keep not being able to reboot Milestone the way they want to. Like I said, Static Shock was the main sort of pull for a lot of people. For those of you who don't know, Static was a teenaged African-American boy who was very, very nerdy, liked Pokemon and things like that. And during a gang war, the police of Dakota City, where the comics take place, put out a tear gas that was supposed to lace the gangsters to try to track them all down. And it ended up killing almost all of them. And the ones who survived ended up absorbing the energy of whatever they were closest to. Virgil, who's Static, ends up falling against a generator and develops electromagnetic superpowers. And so it's kind of Spider-Man-esque, where he's balancing his day-to-day life as a teenager with being a superhero.
Man, that's crazy.
But they also had the Blood Syndicate, which was it was like the surviving gang members all decided to form a new gang, but they all have superpowers now. And so they're kind of the Punishers, but they're the teen book. So they're like the Teen Titans meet the Punishers. They're violent and over the top, but they are trying to do good, but they come from being in gangs before, so they're not quite sure how to do that.
The Phoenix Jones of DC.
or the reversal. And then there was Icon and Rocket. And he was sort of their version of Superman. He was an alien that came to Earth and took on the form of a human that he saw, and he came to Earth during slavery. And the first person that he saw was the slaves working out in the field, so he took on the appearance of a black gentleman. And through the decades, has just been trying to survive and hasn't been using his powers or anything, and always naming himself the Junior or the Fourth or whatever. And so he ends up being discovered by a young girl trying to rob him, and she ends up convincing him to become a superhero. And what's really interesting about this is he's Republican, because Lincoln freed the slaves. So he wants to so his interesting. He's very conservative and whatever, but he's a superhero, and he's got this young girl who was living on the street and ends up becoming pregnant very early on in the comics, who becomes his sidekick. And so it's a very interesting sort of dynamic there. But you've got all these really well-written characters that were very true to life. Like, so much of characters now is so politically driven. But the politics in these comics, because it was there, of course, was about, well, this is just their life. This is just part of them. And so I just keep hoping after watching that documentary that they're able to reboot Milestone, even without McDuffie.
It sounds like that would be a good, especially for now, and especially for the youth, especially in the African American community. If you don't see yourself represented very often, and then it can be difficult, but then when you see yourself actually represented, how those representations happen matter a lot. Unfortunately, we've got to go, but we're going to see you next time. This has been the Bing Zang Zoom podcast. You're here with T.
And Matthew.
And we will see you later. Farewell.